Well, hello there. Welcome to a special edition of Walking Boxing. I'm actually in the great city of Boston, Massachusetts. I think I've got that right, Massachusetts. Brilliant place, though, Boston. Just absolutely beautiful. It's a little bit on the cold side. It's only about sort of 3 or 4 degrees, but just a awesome place. We've been here. I think this is our 4th year in a row we've been here. And yeah, just a great place to come and visit. And I implore you, get away from the big cities like New York and LA and all that sort of stuff, Chicago, Detroit. Come to Boston. It's a beautiful place. It really is. I know I'm going on about Boston here, but it's just a really laid back sort of place. Beautiful architecture, friendly people, and of course the best basketball team in the world in the Boston Celtics. Actually, just on my way up to TD Gardens, actually, which is where the Boston Celtics play out of, as well as the Boston Bruins. Last night there was actually a Maroon 5 concert there as well, so a fair bit goes on at TD Gardens. But just wanted to get on and talk about the fights last night. David Benavides getting the job done over Anthony Yarde. Thought it was an impressive performance. Also, just a really good card of fights. I really enjoyed it. I missed the first, I watched the first half of the Abdullah Mason fight. Then I had to go for dinner and I come back and put them all and watch them all sort of back into the night, if that makes sense. Watch them on delay, but I thought, really good night of fights. Probably the pick of them was probably the first one. Mason and Noakes. I thought it was an awesome fight. Really impressed with Devin Haney as well, with his performance over Brian Norman Jr. What was the other one? And Bam Rodriguez, of course. Another excellent performance by him. And as I said, David Benavides in a clinical beatdown of Anthony Yarde. So before I get into the review, I'm just going to show you. I'll just probably spin the camera around here again. All right, so this is the Causeway, it's called. So it's not the main CBD, but it's just on the sort of outer rim of the city. But this here is TD Garden. So you go up these stairs here. Of course, you've got to have a Starbucks over there. This is, I'm not quite sure who this is, Bobby Orr, and it represents a famous goal by the Boston Bruins. So if you're a hockey fan, you'll know what that's all about. But yeah, you go up these stairs here into TD Gardens, and we're actually heading there tonight to see the Celtics and the Magic. We've seen 2 games so far. We've seen them play the Brooklyn Nets. They had a win in Brooklyn. They played the Brooklyn Nets again a couple of nights ago here in Boston and lost. So they won in Brooklyn and lost in Boston, so it didn't go down too well with the locals, I can tell you. They don't like to lose here in Boston, so I suppose you don't like to lose anywhere, do you? But all right, enough of that, enough of the Celtics and Boston. On to the fights. Now, the first fight, Abdullah Mason and Sam Noakes. Really, I was surprised at how even the fight was, because I actually expected Abdullah Mason to really outclass Sam Noakes, but I think sometimes we forget the age difference between the two. Sam Noakes 28 years old, I think he's almost 29. Abdullah Mason only 21, and obviously got a long way to go in the sport. So still only just almost a kid at 21 years of age. So, but I thought he made the fight a lot harder than what it needed to be. I thought that if he really wanted to, that could have been a pretty easy night for Abdullah Mason. He started really well. Sam Noakes, I thought, was sort of... He landed some good shots, Sam Noakes. So I just thought that Abdullah Mason had him covered in all areas, and I actually thought that this fight might be over in 4 or 5 rounds. That's how dominant Abdullah Mason was. But just when he looked like he was going to start showing his class and what he had, he would just get careless and get caught. Might just go for a walk up here, it's a little bit quieter up here. He'd get caught with a shot and get dragged into a bit of a dogfight, and Sam Noakes would then have his moments. And even though I thought Sam Noakes was the far inferior fighter. I thought that he actually fought out of his skin and gave Mason all he could handle. So, look, Mason, unbelievable young talent, super skills. Reminds me a lot of Shakur and Devon and these types of guys. Keyshawn Davis, of course. So, but again, I just thought he made the fight a lot harder than what it needed to be. He had Noakes covered as far as speed, even power, I thought as well. Footwork, just overall boxing ability, IQ, you name it. He had him covered, but he just kept getting him dragged into the trenches. And so Sam Noakes, what a brave guy he was. Just kept coming and coming and coming. And bowling those right hands in there. And he nailed Mason a fair few times. I thought that Mason, he refuses to I might just go back this way actually, refuses to sort of move his head, and he was sort of getting caught by those straight right hands right down the middle by Noakes, and he just has his habit of, so sometimes when you uppercut or hook, you've got to get outside the corridor, outside the shoulders, and Mason just didn't do that. He just kept throwing really good shots, but just leaving himself open for those shots down the middle from Noakes, and I thought he did really well. Noakes outclassed. I thought I think the final scores were pretty flattering for Noakes, though, weren't they? I think one judge might have had it 114, 113, which is 6 rounds apiece, and then there was a knockdown as well. Then we had, I think the other 2 judges had it 116, 111, was it 117, 110, something like that. Anyway, whatever it was unanimous for Floyd Masson. Abdullah Mason, I should say. And but yeah, as game as Noakes was, I thought that Mason deserved his win and was fantastic in his performance. And at 21 years of age, he's got a lot of upside, hasn't he? He needs to improve a few things. As I said, he needs to sort of get his head outside the shoulders and maybe probably take out the I suppose the habit of engaging when he doesn't really need to and getting on the outside. And I mean, the best role models for that, of course, would be Devin Haney or Shakur Stevenson or one of these types of guys who are just masters at it, aren't they? So a good win for Mason. He now picks up the WBO lightweight title. Some big fights for him at lightweight as well, so we'll see what he can do. But I just think he might need a couple of soft defences before he jumps into some of those fights with some of those really tough guys in the lightweight division. The next fight was the Bam Rodriguez and Martinez fight. Look, again, I thought that Bam Rodriguez, what an unbelievable performance from a geez, there's a swarm of pigeons about to attack me. I just thought, what a performance from him. He made a very, very good fighter look very, very ordinary, and that is a sign of an elite fighter. Martinez, tough, hard, looked limited in certain ways, but really tough and hard, and I just thought Rodriguez made him look pretty amateurish, really. I thought that whatever he did, that Bam Rodriguez just made it look easy. He countered him. I thought it was well, I was going to say, is it funny? In the 10th round when he actually got stopped, he actually landed a few good shots. The crowd was really quiet up to that point as well, but he landed a couple of shots. There was a big round of applause for Martinez, and I think that was from his supporters in the crowd. And I think within about 15 seconds, Bam Rodriguez said, all right, well, you want to start getting up and about, cop this, and boom, that left hand just come over the top and knocked him out. But I love the angles of Bam Rodriguez. Little Lomachenko-like, not as probably slick and agile as Loma, but the way he'll punch, and then his opponent will cover up, and then by the time he's got those gloves ready to go, Rodriguez is coming at him from a different angle. I think it's fantastic, and he's been really, really well schooled. And I don't really think he got out of maybe second gear. Again, just made well, I won't say he's an elite fighter, but a good, solid champion, a world champion in Martinez. Look very, very ordinary, and just gave him all sorts of different things to look at. And I thought he put in an excellent performance. And geez, the fights with Inoue and Nakatani are there for the taking, aren't they? And you got to wonder what happens when those guys fight. We know Nakatani and Inoue are fighting next year. But where does Rodriguez fall into the scheme of things? I mean, he's only just got to 118. No, is he 115? Is he one? He's going to 118, isn't he? Yeah, after this fight. So some big fights to look forward to for Bam, but I'm just so impressed with just the way he just goes about his business. He just almost like no frills. All right, I don't know who he's talking to there, but the way he just effortlessly, he just pokes out the jab, whacks in the left hand, whacks in a hook, goes to the body, steps off to the side, and he attacks again. Just so impressive was Bam Rodriguez. So that was the second fight. The third one, probably the most impressive performance, I think, of the night. Devin the Dream Haney, what a performance. Now, I did actually think he would win the fight, but not as impressively as he did. I thought that it might be a bit of a snore fest. He might run, he might hold, he might clinch like he sort of has in his last few fights. But I don't think Brian Norman really counted on an aggressive Devin Haney, a Devin Haney that went out there and actually tried to take him on. And this is the thing, when I was watching the fight, I was thinking, Brian Norman has prepared for this fight for a Devin Haney that's not going to want to stand in front of him. He's prepared for a Devin Haney who's going to run, as I said, run, clinch, hold, all the rest of it. And I don't think he was mentally or physically, well, physically he was always prepared, I suppose, but I don't think he was mentally prepared and strategically prepared for a Devin Haney that went out there and said, all right, let's go. A little bit like Shakur Stevenson and William Zepeda, I thought. I don't think Zepeda was prepared for that either when he fought Shakur Stevenson. But Devin Haney, I just was so impressed. And the fact that he actually set down on his punches, that's when he rocked him with that left hook, beautiful shot in the second round. You could just see Brian Norman sway in the breeze a little bit there. And then I think it was the jab and then the right hand right around the side that caught him right on the nose. I think busted his nose as well and dropped him. It was a beautiful shot and he almost got him out of there. Imagine the boxing world today if Devin Haney had blown Brian Norman out in 2 rounds. They just would have had nothing to say, because a lot of people, the boxing fans, are very critical of Devin. Imagine if he had wiped him out in 2 rounds. It would have been silence all round, I reckon, from his haters. But look, just a dominant performance. I thought that Brian Norman actually won the first round just by his aggression. I think Haney was just having a bit of a look at him. And then the second round, from there on, it was just all Devin Haney. I thought maybe the later rounds are sort of closed up a little bit. I thought Norman sort of came back and really just out of, well, I won't say desperation, but the work rate sort of kept up from Norman, but I just don't think he was effective at all. I think the rounds that he did win, I thought it was more so Devin Haney sort of taking the rounds off, really. Whenever Devin Haney stepped it up, I just thought he had Brian Norman's measure, and I thought he made what was going to be a very, very hard fight again look pretty easy, I thought. Now, the official scorecards might have been a little bit closer, were they? I had it 8 rounds to 4 anyway, plus the knockdown, so I had it 116, 111. I think one of the other judges might have had it that, and I think one of them might have had a little bit closer. I can't remember, but Devin Haney, just a very, very, very good performance. I think even his most ardent detractors would have to give him credit for that, and Brian Norman especially would have to give him credit for that, because, as I said, I don't think he counted on that type of Devin Haney coming at him, and the fact that when he did stand his ground with Norman, I actually thought he outfought Norman. I thought he out-muscled him, out-punched him. I think he looked the bigger guy. I think he looked the stronger guy. And just a great performance from Devin Haney. And Brian Norman now has to go back to the drawing board and see where he goes, because I think it was blatantly obvious that maybe he's not at the level that maybe he and his team thought he was, and maybe a lot of his fans. Still a very, very good fighter, don't get me wrong, but I just think that Devin Haney showed that he's got a little bit of way to go anyway, does Brian Norman Jr. And look, I will say as well, the fact that right hand in the second round, if it did break his nose and dropped him, that would have really put him off for the rest of the fight. When you get dropped like that really early, and especially if you have something like a broken nose or any other injury, can really affect your mindset throughout. So maybe that had a little bit to do with it as well, with how Brian Norman was so, I suppose, lackluster. But again, don't take anything away from Devin Haney. I just thought he was fantastic. So a great win from Devin Haney, who's now the WBO welterweight champion of the world. And then we get to the main event. I actually thought that Anthony Yarde fought a really good fight, even though he didn't win a round, I don't think. Maybe might have won 1 round, I suppose. I thought it was I think he adopted the right game plan. He just wasn't busy enough. I thought that the plan of obviously letting Benavides come to him, but also not letting him really set and really throw 6, 7, 8 punches in a row, which he likes to do. Just a little movements to the side, the stiff jab, really countering him as he came in. I thought it was a solid game plan from Yarde, and probably the best I've sort of seen him box. Unfortunately, he didn't win a round. I thought that Benavides was doing enough to win the rounds, but not to the point where he was dominating Yarde, but just doing enough to win the rounds, just by his aggression and just flurrying or landing a solid punch when he needed to. But I just thought Yarde fought okay, if you can do that without actually winning a round. And then I think, what was it, the 7th round, he opened up and got him out of there. I was surprised, it must have been the 6th round when the referee allowed Benavides just to wail away with that left hand. I think they said he threw 14 hooks while his right arm was held by Yarde. And I suppose if the referee, if the referee thinks the other guy's holding, he just lets the guy that's being held wail away. But I don't get it, because he should have stopped it and actually warned Yarde for holding. Either that, if he didn't think Yarde was holding, well, maybe he should have stopped and warned Benavides for holding and hitting. It was a really odd time of the fight. Not that it mattered, because then in the next round, Benavides ended the whole thing and did it in Benavides style and just blew him out of there when he had his opportunity. So a game performance from Yarde, but again, I think it shows that he's probably not quite up to that level. Not many are, of course. And Benavides, just his first knockout win at light heavyweight, by the way. I think it just showed that he is for real in the division. And then the shock after the fight, in that he announced that he's going to fight Zurdo Ramirez on May 2nd, Cinco de Mayo in Las Vegas. I reckon Jai Pattaya would have spat out his coffee when he was watching that. That just came out of nowhere, didn't it? It was obviously a long time in the making. Golden Boy announced it pretty soon after the fight as well. Interesting, though, that Zurdo does have to get through a fight in January. He's fighting on a fight card. I can't remember what card it was on, but he is fighting, I think, mid-January, Zurdo, and then he'll back up on May 2nd, Cinco de Mayo. So I don't think Jai Pattaya and Mick Francis would have been overly happy about the whole situation when they saw that. Maybe they had an inkling before all this anyway, but when you think of the bright side as the glass being sort of half full, I suppose, rather than half empty, if you think that if Benavides and Zurdo fight in May, and let's just say Benavides wins, let's just say, I think he will, Jai wins next month in December, and then maybe fights Badu Jack maybe mid next year, we could then have an undisputed cruiserweight title fight at the end of the year, end of 2026. I think it's more likely if Benavides wins than Ramirez wins. But either way, that is the potential, because I don't think Benavides is the type of guy that really runs and avoids anybody. He just wants the biggest fights when they're there for him, and that's why I think that if he does beat Ramirez, that you will see him back up and fight Jai. But having said that as well, maybe this is the reason why Ramirez has really been so standoffish for all this time, but probably just waiting to see what Benavides wanted to do, and if he wanted to come up, and maybe he had to get through this fight first. Maybe that's why Oscar and Ramirez have really been playing coy about the whole Jai Pattaya fight, knowing this fight was in the works. Who knows? But either way, and maybe this is the reason also that Jai and Mick Francis haven't been too stressed about the whole situation at the moment. Maybe they knew what was going to transpire, and it was probably mapped out to them that by the end of 2026, that undisputed fight might be there for the taking. So anyway, we'll see how it all works out. But I thought it was a really good night of fights. The Ring 4, it was called, and I enjoyed it. I really did. It's a lot better, I will say, when you're watching it almost in like real time here. Like it was at night here. It was about 8 or 9 o'clock at night, rather than sort of 11 or 12 o'clock in the morning back home. But either way, no, it was fantastic. And I suppose before I go, I've also got a comment on the Tim Tszyu situation. The fight with Anthony Velasquez has been announced. Look, I've had a lot of people comment about this and message me and everything about the fight and what do I think, and he's fighting the Tamara count and all this sort of stuff. Look, I think with Tim, we've just got to relax and take it for what it is. It is a comeback fight. I'm all for Tim just taking a fight with the guy that, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion, isn't really going to cause much or many issues for him. But this is what it's got to be. I mean, let's not forget his last 2 years have been the years from hell. I mean, he's lost 3 out of 4 fights. He's been knocked out twice. And then, of course, the first Fundora, the mental scars that would have had on him as well. So I think this will be a Joey Spencer type of fight. It'll be a nice, easy, manageable, maybe 5th, 6th, 7th round stoppage win for Tim. Maybe he goes to 12, who knows. But I got no issues with it. I know a lot of people do, and they're all up in arms, and he's fighting the tomato can. Look, at this level in boxing, you just can't fight the top guys all the time, especially when you've been knocked out twice in your last 3 fights. So I got no issues with it. Is Velasquez, a world-class elite fighter? No, by no means he is, but he doesn't have to be. This is just a comeback fight for Tim, and I'm all for it. I have no issues with it, and I'm sure he'll put on a really good performance. The only thing I will say is that all you Tim Tszyu fans out there, when he does win, just please do not put the cart before the horse and start calling for Charlo and a 3rd Fundora fight and Boots Ennis. Just please don't, because he's nowhere near ready for that. I think he needs 3 fights in 2026. Sorry, was he fighting? It's mid-December, isn't it? So I think he has another 2 fights before mid-2026, and then maybe by the second half of 2026, maybe look to step him up, because I think that's the only point where he's going to be ready. And I don't see the rush. We've seen what happened last time when he was rushed into another big fight. So I just think he needs to have this one and another couple of similar type of fights, and then jump up in the second half of 2026 and maybe have another go at it. So I think it's all on track. But as I said, just please don't jump to conclusions after this fight and say that he's back and say that the new trainer's worked miracles and he's going to do this and going to do that. No, he will win. It will be a workmanlike performance. It'll probably be an impressive performance, but just don't start patting everyone on the back a little bit too early, because he's got a long, long way to go. Really like the undercard as well. Really credit to No Limit for what they're producing. The Tyler Blizzard and Sam Goodman fight will be excellent, and the rest of the card looks pretty good as well, and I'll probably talk a little bit more about that when I get home. I'll have a bit more of a look over it and comment more on it. But just the two, and I didn't actually mention, of course, Liam Paro and Paddy Donovan, of course, is the main support fight to that. But I really liked the addition of Goodman and hang on, have I got the right fights here? No, Donovan and Liam Paro was on the Nikita and Zarafa card. Hang on, I've got everything mixed up here. The Goodman and Blizzard fight on the Tszyu card I'm looking forward to. The other one, of course, is the next card. Lots going on at the moment. I haven't really been as up to speed as maybe I should, but yeah, I really like the whole card in general. But again, I'll go over that when I get home and in a little bit more detail. So that's going to do it, guys. I hope all is well back there in Australia. I'm actually heading back tomorrow, so which will be Monday American time, Tuesday Australian time. So the Celtics and the Magic tonight, and then a plane pretty early tomorrow morning, and out of here home. So guys, give us your thoughts as always. Hope you have a good day, and we'll catch you on the next one.